So I read a lot of graphic novels for this channel, like an obsessive amount. And one question that I get asked often is, what is your favorite superhero and story? But I constantly need to tell people that I'm kind of dulled to comics to an extent. What I mean is that I constantly read so many amazing stories and so many bad stories that it becomes near impossible for me to just pick one superhero or one book. So today we're gonna go over the top 8 amazing stories that I thought were gonna be horrible and I thought I would not like. Because these are 8 story arcs that I definitely think you should all check out. This is gonna contain some Marvel and some DC, and we'll do image books another time. I'm also gonna make separate lists for Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, you know, the big guys that have about 5 kajillion stories. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 8 is Brian Azzarello's Wonder Woman run. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but I used to think Wonder Woman was nothing more than the mandatory female superhero for the Justice League. She never seemed to do anything except show up to help the other Justice Leaguers, get angry at everyone, and then leave. But Brian Azzarello's run changed all of that for me. It dives into the actual lore that Wonder Woman the Amazon comes from. Right off in Volume 1, they bring us the other gods, and Wonder Woman explores her family, what the Amazons are, what she is, and how this all relates to Zeus and her mother. It's awesome, and if you're like me and you were just assuming that Wonder Woman was the girl on the Justice League, then I highly recommend giving the first trade a shot, because as soon as you read it, you're going to be hooked on this entire run. Number 7 is Scott Snyder's Swamp Thing. Now, if you ask me who my favorite writer is, I always toss around Dan Slott or Scott Snyder. Now, for Scott Snyder, the reason is simple. I like creepy and scary things, and I always check out the new horror movies and thrillers, and that's what he brings to Swamp Thing. It's always had a creepy atmosphere, but he brings it to a whole new level, and that's what's awesome about this. A creature from the swamp getting a proper horror story. It starts off by trying to explain everything that happened to Swamp Thing before the story, and then it puts him up against the Rot, an entity of death. And if you're a fan of the creepy direction that Scott Snyder brought to Batman and the Joker, then you will not be disappointed with what he does for Swamp Thing. Number 6 is Red Hood and the Outlaws by Scott Lobdell. Everyone loves the idea of Red Hood, the Robin that died and came back for revenge against Batman. But what about his life? How does he redeem himself? Well, this story tells the tale of Jason Todd as he teams up with another defunct sidekick, Roy Harper, and they try their best to do the right thing in their own unique way. Starfire also joins them, and we learn a whole new side to her that I, for one, was not expecting. The story starts with the normal Batman-ish type adventures, and then it goes to a giant space battle as they save Starfire's homeworld, and I loved the ride every step of the way. Number 5 is THOR GODBOMB and God Butcher by Jason Aaron. Now, this one I read because you guys recommended it, and oh boy were you guys right. I've always thought of Thor as that guy in the Avengers that I never cared about and never should care about. Because while Captain America and Iron Man always had these awesome adventures on the side, every adventure involving Thor only had Old English and crazy fonts for his talking. I just thought it was kinda weird. But once you get past that, you'll experience an amazing story in which Thor needs to stop someone from killing the gods, and then he teams up with his younger and his older selves to defeat this enemy. Plus, he rides a space shark that shoots lasers out of its nose in this one. Number 4 is Iron Fist by Care Andrew. Now, this book got me thinking that I even needed to write this list, because Iron Fist Rage and Redemption are just freaking amazing. It made me care about a character that honestly I knew very little about and I didn't care anything about. Unlike Swamp Thing, Iron Fist wasn't in pop culture back in the 90s, and unlike Wonder Woman, he didn't join any team that I followed, so I really had no reason to think that Iron Fist was cool. But this story changed my mind entirely, and has placed Iron Fist as one of my favorite superheroes. It has robot zombie ninjas, it completely flips the lore of Iron Fist around, and the artwork and style in which he tells the story just add a whole new level to this book. It's definitely something that you're gonna walk away saying, that was just amazing and it's going to stay with me forever. Number 3 is Moon Knight by Warren Ellis. Now, just like Iron Fist, this is one of those stories that makes you care about a character that you never cared about. But while Iron Fist is a massing, sprawling epic, Warren Ellis took a different approach with Moon Knight. He broke the story down into an episode format, treating each issue like a television show. There is an overall plot, but you don't need to care about it. And during Warren Ellis's run, you could literally get into any Moon Knight issue and enjoy a story about this superhero that you knew nothing about. It just forced you to want to read the rest of the story because you understood what was going on that single issue, so you knew that by reading the rest, it would just add to your understanding. To add to everything, this series has a completely silent issue that I always think about and I always remember. It's just one of those issues that has stayed with me, and it's once again incredible. Definitely check out this run. Number 2 is Miss Marvel Kamala Khan by Willow Wilson. Now I know that this story is a bit dividing. Some people love it, some people hate it. But I have a reason for enjoying it. Now, if you throw out the political arguments that start due to the fact that it stars a Muslim superhero, and you throw out all this "it's so hip" with its social media and slang talk, then you remove the 2 biggest elements that people like to attack this book about, and you get a classic tale about a young superhero trying to learn her powers, and find her place in a world filled with superheroes. It reminds me of classic Spider-Man, where he was the outsider in a world filled with famous superheroes, and that's why I love this book. Now, don't get me wrong, I learned a lot about Muslim society while I was deployed overseas, so I actually enjoy seeing the Muslim society portrayed in the proper light, and I'm more addicted to social media than a 13-year-old girl, so that part kind of appeals to me too. But the biggest part that I enjoy about this whole entire story is a superhero trying to find her way in the world's storyline. Number 1 is Earth 2 and Earth 2 World's End. I count them both because honestly, it's a complete story with the 2 of them. Earth 2 follows a new world where Batman and Superman have died and we don't have any other superheroes. So we end up getting a new Green Lantern that gets his power from the green instead of emotions. We get a new Flash that is born into being a superhero with the speed of Hermes instead of an accident. We get a new Batman that is actually Thomas Wayne using a steroid drug so he can fight against all of these superpowered foes. And we even get a new Superman in the form of another Kryptonian that was on the planet. This new band of superheroes must learn what it means to be a superhero and how they can save the planet, because Darkseid is on his way to finish off the planet and destroy everyone. It's a very long story arc, but the payoff in the end is incredible, and I felt at times that it was kind of like a 5-season television show. Sure, it has its slow moments, but it builds up for that crazy ending that I loved. Honestly, I've been trying to figure out a way to get you guys the complete story on this one for a long time, but there are so many issues and tie-ins with it that I don't think I could do it without like 8 videos. But we'll see. Maybe I'll do it like I did the Green Lantern stuff. So what did you guys think of my 8 books that I thought I would hate? Did this make you want to read any of these, or maybe you can recommend another trade for me to check out and we can make another list a little ways down the road? If you like lists like this, then go on over to our list-based channel known as ListBomb, and I would love it if you guys would subscribe because we're trying to build that channel up. We do lists about all kinds of crazy stuff, from superheroes to mysteries to creepy things to just random stuff that we find, and it all comes out of the extra research that we get doing videos like this or our video game channel. We'll be uploading a top 8 Batman stories kind of in tangent with this video, so make sure you go check it out very soon. Now don't forget to follow us on Twitter @Comicstorian and check out our subreddit r/Comicstorian, and I will see you guys next time right here.